No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
After the San Jose Sharks insulted the city of Winnipeg by saying it had no Wi-Fi, the Jets defeated them 4-1. After the Ottawa Senators, or more specifically Mark Methot, former Ottawa of Winnipeg, the Jets decided to beat them 5-1. Based on the pattern that's been established, whomever insults our city next, they will then be on the defeatist end of a 6-1 Winnipeg Jets victory. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show brought to you by Betway. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, proud Winnipegger that I am, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets 5-1.
You're not scared of Mark Methot, are you, Drew?
No, not at all. You can get it at some point in time, but it was just stupid. I mean, as per usual, it was somebody doing something stupid on Twitter.
I got your back, Drew. If I stand on your shoulders, I think we're as tall as Mark Methot, so I think we can take him.
Probably. Yeah, I think we can take him. Hey, we know he's got a fragile hand. Remember when Crosby two-handed him and like shattered his thumb when he was still a player instead of a washed-up commentator? We know that he's got a vulnerable thumb that we can go after there.
We shouldn't be surprised that Mark Methot's career ended a little bit early, guys. Like all those years carrying Erik Karlsson, right? So I'm not surprised at all.
That's right. You saw as soon as Methot wasn't with Karlsson anymore, you saw that Karlsson's play just cratered.
Look at him this year. I mean, he's really struggling. Yeah. I don't think he even has a point yet this year. Really struggling. He's not having a good season. So obviously Mark Methot was the reason for all of his success, right?
That's the only logical conclusion that you can come to right there, Ezzy, is that Mark Methot was the driving force of that pairing that carried the Ottawa Senators to the Eastern Conference Final that year. But nonetheless, stupid comments from a past player, notwithstanding, the Winnipeg Jets touchdown in the city for just a brief one-game homestand. Not even sure if it's called a homestand if it's only one game long, Dave M. But an absolutely dominant performance. Just home. It's not even a stand. They're just at home. Just an absolutely dominant performance by the Jets again against a weaker opponent. And it's becoming a pattern. And it's becoming a good pattern. And it's becoming the pattern of what a good team does to a bad team. We saw it on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks. We saw it previously against the Chicago Blackhawks a few times. We've seen it against the Anaheim Ducks this year. The Hall of Fame game most recently when the Timu and Teppo were honored. The Jets see a weakened opponent and they don't play down to that team's level. They play up to their standard, and the other team, as you saw again tonight, just can't keep up. Dave, good to see you both. Ezra, good to see you. Nice to see everybody in the chat joining us here on Tuesday, the 20th of December. A happy Hanukkah, happy third night of Hanukkah. Dark Moon wants us all to smile and wave. So on 3, 1, 2, 3. Smile and wave to Dark Moon. As he was trying to maybe a little bit pause, maybe trying to be a little bit hesitant there, but you got to smile and wave.
I wasn't being hesitant. I already waved. I mean, I don't know how many post-game shows we're going to do this, but obviously, Dark Moon has some type of waving and smiling fetish, but you know what? I'm kind of into it. But yeah, I mean, look at David Riddick played fetish. Really well. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's wrong. There's nothing wrong with a foot fetish, if you ask me. I mean, feet aren't my thing, Drew, but if that's what you like, no problem with that. Kyle Connor was fantastic tonight. Josh Morrissey was fantastic tonight. I mean, you got to love, Kevin Stenlund and the all-Swede line, getting in on the action. They were really good tonight. Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, his first multi-point game of his NHL career. And, the shots were sometimes shots are misleading. I think this was one of those games where shots were misleading because if I'm not mistaken, when the Jets scored their second goal, the shots were something like 16-6 for the Senators. And it obviously
the Jets, I think, only had 4 at that point.
Yeah, so 16-4, something like that, right, Dave? It was very one-sided. It wasn't like the Senators had a couple more shots. It was something like they had 10 more shots or 12 more shots than the Jets. But really, I mean, a lot of those shots were from the outside. I mean, the third period is one of the worst third periods I've seen in recent memory, guys. Like, the Jets were not sitting back. It was quick, and that was the only good part of it. And why would the Jets be pressing, right? Like, they've got a lot of banged-up bodies. You're about to head on the road for a really quick back-to-back road trip. So you're conserving yourself. Drew mentioned load management last game. Like that was the definition of load management, right? And the Senators were piling up the shots, but not many of them were of the high quality variety. So, aside from the one power play goal that the Senators scored, I mean, for the most part, you really like that game. The Jets just outskated them, took advantage of their opportunities. Some of the goals they scored against the Senators. I mean, the Senators defensively, like, I don't know how DJ Smith is going to remain the head coach of the Senators. Like, to me, they have way too much talent. Like, when you bring in Claude Giroux and you bring in Alex DeBrincat, like, goal scoring is not the problem for this team. Like, defensively, they kind of remind me, honestly, of the Devils a couple years back, right? Like, all of these good, young, still skilled forwards. Like, we should mention
anything that doesn't remind you of the Devils. Is anything at all that doesn't remind you of the Devils? Just let us know what it is.
Fair enough. You know that I'm obsessed with my Devils, but I mean, we should mention
yes.
Josh Norris, Tim Stützle, those are two top 6 forwards for the Sens, right, Dave? So that's not insignificant. Not comparing the Jets injuries to the Senators injuries, because the Jets definitely have more injuries. And I don't think Connor Hellebuck would be in there because that's not really an injury. He's going to go on the road trip. That's just a virus or flu or whatever you want to call it. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's an illness. So, I mean, but the Senators have way too much talent led by Brady Tkachuk to be where they are. To me, it's just a mess defensively, because the power play entering this game was 4th in the NHL, right? So they're clicking on the power play. They're clicking at even strength on offense. It's just defensively, this team's a little bit of a mess. And you saw that, I thought, especially, Dave, on the goal that Kyle Connor scored on the feed from Dubois.
Yeah, look, the Ottawa Senators, you're absolutely right, Ezzy. They are not, they have offensive skills and they're able to score. They didn't score tonight, but so far this year that's been a strength of theirs. But they just give it back so significantly on the back end. I mean, we'll get into the goals and we'll get into the Betway game recap. But you just look at the Jets' goals by and large. It's not that the Jets scored them. I don't want to diminish the Jets scoring the goals, but they weren't hard, greasy goals. They were goals where they had so much time and space they could have made a peanut butter sandwich.
The Stenlund goal was a bit of a greasy goal on the pass. It was a nice pass from Gus Bus, but I mean that was Stenlund driving the net. Initial shot doesn't go in, he gets his rebound. But you're right, none of the other goals were what you would call greasy goals.
It's like they didn't do I don't know how in-depth of a pre-scout you need to do, Dave, to say, hey, Kyle Connor's a pretty good goal scorer. Maybe you shouldn't leave him completely wide open in the slot. It's going to go poorly. I mean, this is amateur hour at the Apollo. Sorry to steal one of your lines there, Dave M. The Senators, the way they played in their own zone. And I know that, people will look at some of the numbers, or they'll look at some of the, advanced stats, and they'll say it wasn't as one-sided as it was. I mean, you just can't play that poorly. Look, we in Winnipeg know this as well as anybody, given how last year was. You can't play that poorly in your own zone and expect to win hockey games. You can't outscore your problems when that is the defensive effort that you're putting forward. So I agree with you. I mean, I think DJ Smith is probably very much in jeopardy. His future as the head coach in Ottawa, and he's been a good head coach there in sort of getting them up to this point. But it seems like that's a team that's probably in need of a new voice.
Well, they've taken a step back this year, Drew. They haven't taken a step forward. Mm-hmm. And you don't bring, like, look at, I don't think anybody expected the Ottawa Senators to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Well, they won the Summer Stanley Cup, as we talked about.
Well, exactly. But you don't bring in guys like DeBrincat and Giroux, just to be competitive. Like, you bring in those guys to put you over the top and make the playoffs. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot of season to go, but I think, based on what's happening in that Atlantic Division, Dave, I don't think the Senators have a really good shot at making the playoffs right now.
Well, it's interesting because I looked at that for the pregame report, and it was like, well, they're only 4 points back of like Buffalo, but actually like 8 points back of like the second wild card. So, it doesn't look as bad when you're looking at the numbers, but then you realize there's a big gulf there. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate if you're a Senators fan, how it's going to go again in the nation's capital. And, interestingly enough, the Jets did what they needed to do, which was, they wanted to, they didn't skate yesterday. They took the day off after the back-to-back, no surprise there. And they needed to have a good effort. And look, if there's one thing we've seen them do here in Winnipeg is have good efforts. They've played extremely well. It's reminiscent, Ezzy, if you remember a few seasons back when the Jets never lost at home. And it felt like, I remember because I used to go into the Jets dressing room and you would go into the away dressing room. And as he's like, maybe one day I can go in the Jets dressing room and experience a win, because I'm always going in the away room and I'm always in, like, it's rather depressing in there and everybody's angry. And Dave M, you get to go into the room. Everybody's happy. They're chill. They're relaxed. But I would imagine that's the way it's been this season, right? We don't know, of course, because as soon as that second period buzzer goes off, we get into our respective cars, usually together, and get to our respective homes so we can do this show here. But you know what I mean, right? Like it's been a good place for wins, and so is the road, of course. But it's critically important, and I think Drew's hit on it from his comments a few minutes ago. I think the Jets continue to do what they needed to do. It's not even about getting the points, and someone said that in the chat 2 minutes ago. It said the most important stat is the 2 points. 100% agree with you. Banking points. I mean, guys, all we've talked about are the Jets' injuries and the laundry list of their injuries. 6 players, with over a month each of injuries. You're not expecting these guys back till sometime in January. Even then, could be early. So you've got a long time. So what do you need to do that's critically important is bank those points. And to get the points, and the Jets didn't just bank points, as he said, they danced over the Senators today in large part, right? So because of that, and I agree with you, Drew, like some of the goals were, just total breakdown. I mean, like that, but you got to give the Jets credit too, right? That pass by Josh Morrissey is otherworldly, right? So again, it's a combination of things, but I do think that the Jets, A, are getting rid of their opponents that they need to and getting those points, and B, taking advantage of an opportunity to continue to, increase their place in the standings while dealing with the laundry list of injuries.
Yeah, well, look, you improved to 21-10-1 on the season now, and with the victory, they leapfrog the Dallas Stars for top spot by points percentage in the Central Division. And then we've been sort of talking about points percentage and regular points and everything else. They're a point behind Dallas in terms of the actual point total, but it's just they're winning the games they're supposed to win, but they're not just squeaking by them. They're winning them so handily. They're winning them where there's almost no, it's no sweat. The games that, against their weaker opponents as of late have been so lopsided. It's not like they're, these are close games and the Jets are, getting a late goal. Not that there would be anything wrong with winning that way, because you're not always going to win by a 4-goal margin. You're not always going to go into Vancouver and absolutely get, the opponent's jerseys thrown on the ice. That's not always going to happen. But that just almost has been what you've come to expect from these Jets over the last, since, let's say, the middle of November, give or take a couple days on either side there, just about how dominant they've looked against those weaker opponents. I guess the one game that is the exception to that is the Columbus game. That was the biggest stinker on home ice this season in terms of a game that you would have earmarked for a victory based on where the two teams were in the standings at that point. But the Jets, certainly haven't let that become the rule. That has been the exception. And you saw it again tonight with just an absolutely in control performance, really from start to finish, given how quickly they took the 1-0 lead on that Kevin Stenlund goal. And that's just, what you want to see. That's what Rick Bowness wants to see. I'm sure that the players are very happy, because had you, and we talked about this on Sunday's post-game show, Ezzy and I did, had you overlooked this game, or had this game, had you been looking over to Boston and Washington, which are obviously two more significant games just based on who your opponents are in terms of a harder opponent, if you'd overlooked Ottawa, maybe you would have been heading on the road having lost 2 in a row to 2 very difficult places. Instead, well, you've won the game you were supposed to win, and now you go to Boston and Washington for those 2 games back to back, or Washington then Boston, and those aren't going to be easy games by any stretch of the imagination. But at the very worst case scenario, you've entered the Christmas break losing 2 in a row, if that's what ends up happening, as opposed to potentially losing 4 in a row had they overlooked Ottawa tonight, given when you factor in Sunday's loss to Seattle as well. But the Jets didn't let that happen, and I give them full marks for that, and they got full marks, obviously, for a in control 5-1 victory tonight. We say good evening to everybody. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this Tuesday night here to talk about tonight's Jets victory. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button. We always appreciate when you do that. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast in case you want to hear the audio only version of this. Maybe if you're not able to stay with us the whole time, but we encourage you to do so. You can always download the podcast as well. Let's get into it, guys. It's the Betway game recap brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. And of course, the title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. So important when you're playing a team that is below you in the standings to get off to a good start. The Jets did that again tonight. Kevin Stenlund must have felt good for him. His first as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. Assist to David Gustafson and Axel Jonsson-Fjällby. It actually starts in this case with a face-off loss. It's an offensive zone face-off for the Jets. Stenlund loses it. The puck goes behind the Senators' goal line, but the Jets are ferocious and aggressive on the forecheck, forcing a turnover. And Gustafson with a great pass out to Stenlund, Desi. First shot is stopped, but he shows off some of that I don't know if that's baseball or tennis, whatever it is. He bats the rebound out of the air, and he makes it 1-0 for the Jets.
Yeah, really nice goal by Kevin Stenlund, and he was rewarded, I think, for all the hard work and the way he's been playing as of late. But you mentioned it, really nice pass by David Gustafson, and kind of just unaccosted. They just didn't really cover him well, the Senators, that is. So really nice goal, and as you mentioned, they don't win the faceoff. But again, the Jets working down low, kind of behind the goal line. So you love to see the all Swedish fourth line get the game's first goal.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what you want, Dave M. You want to see that kind of goal from your fourth line. I mean that sure
you want to see any goal from your fourth line.
You want to see any goal from your fourth line, but if it's going to be flashy, that's great. But it's probably not going to be flashy. And Kevin Stenlund is a big body and he's tough to handle. And you love to see the face-off loss. The Jets are on that puck faster than the Senators were, despite losing the face-off. And that's it's about hard work. It's about effort. And you get rewarded, and it's nice to see for everybody on that fourth line.
Yeah, no, there's no question. There's no question about it. I mean, I think that's what we've talked about. You can't just be out there not getting scored on. That's, of course, critically important as well. But you need contributions, right? If you're going to get that trio, I mean, I'm surprised as he's not working on a nickname for them as we speak. There's quite an opportunity. I think what was it? Was it gimme that was Kevin Stenlund's goal song?
Swedish line.
Yeah, the Swedish line a little while, but I mean, it
was
a little.
It was Scotty Billick who put out the call on Twitter to say, what should the line be called? And somebody said, I think IKEA, because what did they say? It took time for it.
Swedish.
Well, IKEA is Swedish, but I think it said because it took some time for the line to get put together. Which I thought was fairly clever, but
look. Let's be realistic.
It's horrible.
Let's leave the line creation names to Ezra Ginsburg.
There you go.
Although I did come up with the lunch pail.
Or somebody, anybody. All Swede.
How sweet it is.
Also, that works as well. That's not bad, Dave. That's a little bit better. But it's just exactly how the Jets want to start the game. You want to start the game by being up 1-0 after 2 minutes. I mean, and it was remarkable. Like there was just no pushback from Ottawa. I mean, it's a 1-0 game. I mean, it gets to be 2-0, not that long after. But it's if you're a Senators player, you're a Senators fan, you're watching that and saying, where's the professional pride? They've been in Winnipeg since Sunday, which is what of course caused this whole Mark Methot nonsense kerfuffle. Because they had a day off here in Winnipeg yesterday. The Senators did. The Jets were still in Seattle when the Senators were checking into their apparently 2.5-star accommodations. And yet they just have that kind of response is really what's probably got to be perplexing for anybody in the Senators management,
I'm not sure what game you're watching, Drew, but the Senators had a pushback. The shots were 16-4 when the Jets went up 2-0. So I don't know if the Senators were. I don't think the Jets were playing that well, to be honest with you. I just don't think the Senators were capitalizing. Drake Batherson had a really good scoring chance before he scored on the power play, but I think the pushback in the second and third is maybe what you're talking about, because that wasn't very good. The first period I thought was heavily controlled by the Senators.
Yeah, Rittich was good.
The killer goal was the Sam Gagner goal. I mean, the Sam Gagner goal, the Senators were running around, and give the Jets credit, right? Like, they were moving the puck nicely. But, you know, when you score a goal that late, and the way the Senators have been allowing goals, I think that was really deflating to allow that late goal. The early goal in the second period didn't help. But, you know, fair enough, Drew, the Senators, like, you could see that after the Jets went up 4-1, the game was over. And, you know, most of the time, you know, when a team goes up 3 goals, the game is going to be over. But aside from, I thought Batherson was arguably their best forward. And obviously Brady Tkachuk was noticeable out there as well. Eric Brandstrom's a really good skater, but you can see that this is a young team that still hasn't fully developed into a good team. They haven't found a way to win consistently. I use the Devils. I mean, you could use other teams as well, but I mean, it's just, to me right now, they're still looking for an identity, right? Like, the identity, it would be easy to say that, you know, the identity of this team is speed and skill, because they have a lot of it, but I just don't think they've put it all together yet.
Jets made it 2-0. It's Josh Morrissey, because, you know, of course it's Josh Morrissey. His 6th of the year, assisted Dylan DeMello and Kyle Connor, and he makes a very nice move at the blue line. I think he walked around, if I'm not mistaken, Alex Formenton, but correct me if I'm wrong there on that one. But again, you look at it, and it's a great move by Morrissey to get the time and the space. But the center, you know, Formenton is almost defending the boards, and he's leaving the center of the ice wide open for Morrissey to make his move. And I'm not taking anything away from Morrissey's move, because it was a fantastic play, but the body positioning and the approach to the play from the Senators player is just all backwards. He's taking away a less dangerous spot, you know, rather than taking away the more dangerous spot. And Morrissey's like, okay, I'll just walk in here. And after he beat him, he had so much time and space, and he picks the corner, and it's 2-0 for the Jets, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to credit Morrissey, because
you're right. It wasn't Formenton. Formenton is unsigned. I see that in the chat. He's the guy that the Senators.
I believe he signed. He signed in Sweden. No, in Switzerland right now.
Did he actually? Because he's the. Yeah, that's right. I got my
players confused. Senators tonight, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got my players confused there. You're right. He's not signed, because there's some thought that he's involved in the Hockey Canada scandal. He's an RFA.
Let's skip that, Drew.
Okay, yeah, so just saying, anyways, that's the reason. That's the reasoning why they didn't sign him as an RFA this year.
Sure. Anyways, the point is, I'm pretty sure he signed in Switzerland. But anywho, look, let's credit Josh Morrissey's skating. Josh Morrissey's skating is exceptional, and right now, I mean, the guy has 6 goals, 32 assists. I mean, he is, everything he touches turns to gold. He set a career high for points in 32 games. I mean, it's just remarkable what Josh Morrissey is doing this year. And that move was great. And then it's presence of mind. I mean, we'll get into it on the Kyle Connor goal, but just his ability to use the screen, no chance for the netminder, because Morrissey sees there's again, the Jets did what they needed to do. Bodies in front of the net, taking away the eyes. And so instead it ends up being a great opportunity for Josh Morrissey to see a lane, take that lane, and fire a shot that he's scoring on every time to give the Jets that 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and it's 2-0 for the Jets at that point in time, and they're very happy with that. It's 2-0, I believe that is, and then Ottawa gets on the board. It's Drake Batherson. This also coming in the first period. Lots of goals in that first period. This is a power play goal, and it's Batherson. It's his 11th from Chabot and Alex DeBrincat. And you know, it's a quality power play, you know, performance from the Ottawa Senators here, getting that goal and cutting the Jets' lead in half, Ezzy.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. As I mentioned, Batherson had a really good scoring chance before that. And yeah, I thought that was a really good power play. And we talked about the Sens power play was 4th coming into this game. So they wasted no time. But aside from that, it was really, really not a lot going on for the Senators tonight.
No, not a lot going on at all. And then you talked about this one as Sam Gagner. This is late in the first period with 13 seconds to go in the first period. He makes it 3-1. It's his 6th of the year. Assist from Brendan Dillon and Pierre-Luc Dubois. And, I obviously, I watched it, and then I watched the replay, and then I watched the replay again. And I think what Gagner is doing here, because this doesn't look like it's going to be a dangerous play. It doesn't seem like this is should turn out to be a goal. But I think, and again, this is just me speculating, if I'm based on watching the replay over and over again, I think he knows or is expecting Cam Talbot to cheat a bit, thinking it's going to be a pass. And then when Talbot cheats, that's when he goes top corner. Now, I mean, it's also entirely possible that he was just throwing it on net and got lucky, but I do think that there was a little bit of intelligence there in thinking, in sort of predicting that the goalie was going to cheat and going to play the pass, and as a result, he was able to pick the corner there, Dave. Now, maybe you saw it completely different than me, and that's totally possible. But from my sort of viewings of that goal, I thought he thought that Talbot was going to cheat and took advantage of that.
Well, when you've played almost 1,000 games in the NHL, you're probably going to give a guy credit for being able to pick his spots. And, Gagner is still a guy who has the ability to get it done. And you sometimes these guys, like, I think Gagner knew when he was coming into Winnipeg that there was an opportunity for him, but that, he may also have to sit a little bit sometimes. But that these guys are all competitive. Nobody wants to sit back. Nobody wants to be on that fourth line playing limited minutes. Everybody wants an elevated role if they can achieve it. And one guy we're gonna have to talk about who's having some success on that elevated role, Jansen Harkins, I think, with the Morgan Barron and Adam Lowry line. But I think Gagner is a guy who, and what does he have now? That's his 6th goal of the season, right? So I mean,
6th, yeah.
We're talking about a guy who you took a chance on. You didn't know what he was gonna have left. He had a good season in Detroit, right? But the last year. But you didn't know if all of his points were coming. And again, we didn't follow Detroit other than the times the Jets would play them. But you don't know if he's doing that because he's getting a lot. I mean, we knew he was getting more opportunity. I think he was playing up with Dylan Larkin sometimes. So there was a lot more opportunity for him, we thought, than there might be with the Winnipeg Jets. And yet he's able to achieve success wherever he's been in the lineup, throughout the course. And I think, you want to talk about load management with a guy who's getting a little bit older. Gagner is probably one of those guys who's not a bad thing to think about in that regard. But yeah, I mean, he's a veteran guy who right now is feeling good about his game and he's contributing. And that's all you could have asked for.
Yeah. Intelligence in hockey, there's some players who are almost so are intelligent hockey players from the get-go, and then there's other players who are intelligent hockey players, and then they use their collective knowledge that they've gained in almost 1,000 games to really find ways to almost be a bit of a cheat code. And this, to me, was a little bit of a cheat code goal by Sam Gagner there, Ezzy. I just thought that he saw something and he sort of knew something and used that institutional knowledge to his advantage to give the Jets the 3-1 lead.
Yeah, there's no doubt that was a veteran move. What I really liked about this goal is, Dubois draws 2 guys to him. It was Batherson and DeBrincat, and then Dubois heads to the net, and there's 2 defensemen. I think it was 2 defensemen or 2 Senators. He touches basically 4 guys on this goal, and we talk a lot about how Dubois is a power forward and he draws penalties and everything like that. But if you watch the replay of the goal, I just have it up here. It does a great job of kind of distracting a couple of the Senators and then driving to the net, and Batherson just gives Gagner too much room. But there's no doubt that Gagner, saw that, maybe there was a little bit of an opening there, and he thought he would catch Talbot by surprise on a delayed penalty. So it was a really smart veteran move.
Yeah, very smart veteran move. Good first period for the Jets on the scoreboard. 3-1 they lead after 20 minutes, and you score in the last minute of the first period, and you basically score in the first minute of the second period. It's going to be a little demoralizing for your opponents, but that's what the Jets did. Kyle Connor at the 1:02 mark of the second period, Dave, makes it 4-1. It's his 14th of the year assist to Josh Morrissey and Dylan DeMello. And I mean, this is a world-class assist from Josh Morrissey. When you can when you can beat out the camera, the broadcast crew, if they can't follow your pass because it's that good, then you've done something well. And this was just an absolutely gorgeous slap pass from Josh Morrissey, to give the Jets, to put it on to Connor, and he makes no mistake because, Kyle Connor knows how to score goals in this league.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, when I watched it live, I actually thought it was a rebound for Morrissey, for Kyle Connor. I actually thought he picked up a rebound and put it into the net.
Mhm.
Then I watched it again. I was like, wow, that is just a phenomenal again. And we saw it. They showed it on the replay on the broadcast when, the same thing in Seattle with the goal by Mark Scheifele, where he slap passes it and Scheifele just kind of taps it in. And that's what Josh, I mean, again, it's all about elevating his game. 6 goals, 32 assists. And that assist was a beauty. And it was all, I mean, that Kyle Connor, did you see the look on his face? Like Kyle Connor, I mean, look, you got to give Kyle Connor credit because, again, we talk about how smart he is. He's right in front of Talbot, and he's with, I think, 2 defenders on him, and then finds a little bit of calm, a little calm in the river for himself where there's nobody around him. And he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And then Morrissey finds him. And again, Kyle Connor's, this is not the early season Kyle Connor, who was a little snake bit. This is the Kyle Connor who is rolling on pace for 97 points this season. That's the Kyle Connor who, when he gets the puck with that much that much of a net wide open, there's no mistake. It's a no doubter. And suddenly now it's a 4-1 game. And to your point, Drew, it's game over.
Yeah.
Did you just pull out an on pace for 97 points there? Is that what you did?
That's right.
You watch the replay of that goal. Again, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jake Sanderson, and Travis Hamonic, I believe, were the defensemen. And you look at Pierre-Luc Dubois, 2 defensemen go to Pierre-Luc Dubois in front of the net. That's all I want to say, because the pass was beautiful. And we got to stop saying slap pass. It's a beautiful pass. I'm not saying you, Drew. I'm saying it was used many times on the broadcast. It's just a nice pass. That's all I'm saying. That bugged me a little bit. Not you saying it, but you said it there, and it was said many times on Twitter as well. So why can't we just say nice pass? But anyways, maybe it's just been a long day and I'm being a curmudgeon.
I was gonna say, you sound sort of curmudgeonly. That you're sort of playing the role. I'm the curmudgeon on the show. You're usually the happy, smiley guy.
Unless we're talking about the Waves
kids now, though. True, Drew. Before, you had the 2 kids, and now I've got the 2 kids. So I think I've become you. I think I'm you now, Drew.
I think people have said I've been curmudgeonly for like
25
years, long before I had kids. What's that? You're just me, but less successful? That's okay. You still keep reaching for that star there, big boy.
I've got some years to go. I'm only 40, right? Like I have some years to still, get that university degree. But
what is it?
Look at,
reach for the moon. If you miss, you'll still be among the stars. Some sort of nonsense inspirational quote like that.
Exactly. Dave nailed it though. I mean, it's a world-class pass by Josh Morrissey. And Kevin Sawyer on the broadcast mentioned Scott Niedermayer.
As I said, world-class slap pass.
Exactly. Yeah, slap pass. But, Kevin Sawyer mentioned Niedermayer. And Niedermayer's obviously a Hall of Famer, multiple Stanley Cups, Olympic gold, everything like that. The way Morrissey is playing, though, you can say his name in the same breath as Scott Niedermayer, right? Like, you really can. I mean, he's got a lot of years to go. He's got to produce for many years. But the way he's playing, like, you saw the spinorama earlier in the game. I forget if that was the first period or the second period. And that wasn't like a spinorama where you were like, oh, I hope he doesn't cough up the puck. It was like no, that's a skilled guy playing with the utmost confidence. He can basically do whatever he wants. We talked about, the goal earlier in the game to make it 2-0 for the Jets. Like that goal was just, a confident player that, picks his spot on Cam Talbot. And same thing with that. Like, you don't need the 5G or whatever view they have on TSN to see that was crazy, right? Like Drew mentioned it. The cameraman was fooled. Everybody in the building, I don't think, like he sees things. It's almost like that Gretzky type of vision, right? Where he sees things that the other guys are on the ice don't see. I just wanted to mention that though, that both defensemen, Pierre-Luc Dubois, like he is creating havoc in front of the net. Even if he doesn't get an assist on that goal, like to me, he's just causing chaos. And we know we love chaos if you listen to the Rollies transfer commercial. But again, that goal was all about Josh Morrissey and the Senators, I guess, deciding we don't need to cover Kyle Connor.
Yeah, them not covering Kyle Connor really does also help a lot. It helps significantly in that goal being able to, come to fruition. It is wild how they didn't cover Kyle Connor, and they didn't cover him again on the 5-1 goal, which was the final goal of the night. This coming at the 14:23 mark of the second period. It's Connor. You mentioned Dubois. He gets the primary assist here, and Axel Jonsson-Fjällby also picks up an assist. I believe is that 2 assists on the night for Jonsson-Fjällby? Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
2 assists for him.
I think, Drew, they originally didn't give Jonsson-Fjällby an assist on the first goal by Stenlund, and then later they awarded it to him.
Right, so good for him to get a 2-point night. But again, Dubois is getting all the attention, and deservingly so. He's a talented player, and he's pretty impactful. And I'm playing him down a little bit with my analysis there. But you just can't leave Kyle Connor all alone. I mean, it's just comical. You leave him alone on the side in the first goal that he scores, and then you leave him alone just in the middle of the ice. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, that's just,
you know what? Sorry, Drew, you're 100% right. And I remember on that goal, Thomas Chabot was on the ice. And I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm not watching the replay right now, but I remember Thomas Chabot put his hand up to say cover Kyle Connor. Like, I'll go back and watch it. But it was like, that was the type, like the Senators. And we talked about it, even though there were parts of this game, the Jets were being badly outshot. Yeah. I mean, some of the shifts, it was Harlem Globetrotters hockey out there. And the Jets were skating circles. And that was the same thing. Like when guys like Connor and Dubois and Scheifele and Perfetti were in full speed, they were causing the Senators. It wasn't like the transition game that was really hurting the Senators. It was the in zone, like the Jets moving the puck, cycling the puck. And you're right. I mean, it's a beautiful pass by Dubois. We know Connor and Dubois, Dave, have had great chemistry for the last couple of years when they play together.
Right.
So, I mean, look, Connor's feeling it right now. You're right, Dave. I mean, I was joking. I was giving you a hard time about the 97-point pace. It wasn't too long ago that Kyle Connor had, 1 goal in his first 10 games?
Yeah.
And none of them were at 5-on-5.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, it didn't take long and then we talked to, who was actually worried that Connor was going to struggle even more? You don't score 47 goals in the NHL by accident.
No, you don't. And I mean, I think he's back on pace for being over 40 now, Dave, if I'm not mistaken.
For goals, yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably around 40 goals and 60. He's on pace for around 100 points. So and
it was 97, Dave. Let's be exact here.
Fair enough. I want to make sure your dad doesn't get mad at me, Ezzy. But the other guy
my dad's in bed, Dave. He doesn't. He watches the Saturday morning show, but he's in bed. He goes to bed.
He'll watch the replay. Tomorrow morning. I have faith in John. But anyways, look. We got also get a credit. Big save, Dave. I mean, he made 35 saves on the night or something of that nature. So I mean, and we don't look. We get the memo from True North at 9:30 saying Arvid Holm has been recalled, and Arvid Holm has had a really good season for the Manitoba Moose. Like a 937 save percentage, 255 GAA, and I think he's 7-3-1 or 7-3-2. For the Manitoba Moose. He's been very good, and he's been very good of late, actually, for the Moose. But it's curious. You're thinking, okay, and everybody obviously is not thinking Hellebuyck so much as maybe something happened with Dave Riddick in the game against in the last game. But we're not certain, of course, until morning skate happens. But it's a curious move. And, everybody was expecting that Connor Hellebuyck would, of course, get the net back tonight. And when morning skate got underway, David Rittich and Arvid Holm we're manning the respective creases. And, of course, then we find out that Connor Hellebuyck is dealing with a non-COVID related illness. But you got to give David Rittich credit because that's back-to-back games for him. And everybody, I suspect, we don't know when Connor Hellebuyck was starting to feel ill. Maybe the team knew well in advance, but it's also entirely possible that he didn't feel well today. And then maybe Drew has some insight because he's looking like he wants to jump in. But the point is that maybe David Rittich found out this morning that he was going to be playing, and good credit on him for stepping up. And I thought he had a solid game because you're right. In that first period, I mean, the shots are 16-4. The Jets happened to score on the 2 of the first 4 shots, but Ottawa had peppered them. And again, sometimes shots can be misleading in the sense that, it's misleading in the sense that it's misleading in one sense. It could be not misleading in another. In one sense, it means that the other team has possession of the puck. So that's a bad thing.
Well, and I was giving Drew a hard time, but I think the Senators only had like 3 high danger chances.
Well, and that's what I was going to. That's right? The second point, is the high danger chances. Yeah, the quality, if you will.
Drake Batherson was the scoring chance. I forget who fed it to him. It might have been DeBrincat, because DeBrincat is on his line, right? Is it DeBrincat? Yeah, DeBrincat and Pinto Pinto's like Shane Pinto, good player from UND. Jake Sanderson also, boys. Like I realized the Senators lost the game 5-1. Sanderson can skate.
They have a lot of nice pieces.
Sanderson's going to be a really good defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah, they have a lot of nice pieces. They just don't know how to, it does take time to learn how to win consistently at the NHL level, especially when you're a young team. There are, and I think they thought that bringing in a guy like Claude Giroux, who's been very good for them this year, by and large,
or close to a point a game. Yeah.
I think they thought
same thing with the Brinkett Drew.
Yeah, I know. I think they thought by bringing those guys in, they would be able to almost fast forward the process a bit, but it just hasn't worked out that way. They don't have the defensive mentality that, for offensive players, it takes time for them to think about the game with that defensive mindset. And we've seen it here in Winnipeg. Some of the Jets' best offensive players, it took time and still is a work in progress in some regard for them to really get that defensive mindset that goes along with their offensive skill set. And I think Ottawa is one of those teams,
right? The Red Wings, same thing. The two teams that in the East that people were looking at, not the Devils, it was the Red Wings and the Senators, right? Because the Red Wings went out and they got David Perron and they got Andrew Kopp, right? So like everybody, I'm forgetting somebody there, but Kopp and Perron are the two guys that stand out to me. There were other guys that they acquired. But
Ben Sherratt, I think, isn't
Ben
Ben
Sherratt?
Yeah,
Ben Sherratt. So like, I mean, didn't Ben Sherratt go to Florida, or that was before that, right? Yeah, that
he went
before.
to Florida at the trade deadline.
Okay. And then for a second there, Drew, you made me pause. It's like Sherratt is on the Red Wings, right? But he was only on the Panthers for a little while.
Yeah,
but you're right. So
Billy Husso as well.
Billy Husso. So you bring in all these veteran. These are all veterans, right? These aren't like, you're not picking up 22-year-old players here. These are all veterans that have won in the NHL, right? So I mean, it hasn't worked out for the Red Wings either. And I realize there's some injuries and stuff like that. But I mean, you make a good point. You have to have, the defensive structure, but you also have to do it consistently. So Thomas Chabot, Jake Sanderson, Eric Brandstrom, like this defense in a couple years is going to look phenomenal. And again, should mention, Tim Stützle, one of their best players, along with Josh Norris. Norris has been out for almost the whole season. But look at the Senators. They're fun to watch. I think they're going to be a good team in a few years. But right now, and Cam Talbot too, you got to give Talbot's actually had a pretty good year, but tonight was not his night. I thought he was going to be pulled after that 4-1 goal, to be honest with you.
He was not very good tonight. The whole entire Senators weren't very good tonight. The Jets did what they're supposed to do, and they did it by a convincing 5-1 margin, winning on home ice before they head out on the road to face Boston on Thursday and then wrap up the pre-Christmas portion of their schedule on Friday against the Washington Capitals.
Okay, Drew, sorry. I know you want to go to commercial break. What's more likely, that the Jets beat the Bruins, which would give them their first regulation? The Bruins have not lost a game in regulation at home, which is absurd. I know you guys know that. I don't know if everybody else watching knows that.
Yet they somehow lost to the Coyotes. So who knows?
I know. It's bizarre. So are the Jets, what's more likely, the Jets beating the Bruins on the road or Alex Ovechkin breaking Gordie Howe's record against the Jets?
I'll tell you what, let us think about it. We can discuss it on the other side of the break. I'll also give an update on what Connor Hellebuyck told Rick Bowness after the game tonight. Stay tuned. It's more of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube. We're live on all of our social media platforms. Yeah, there you go. We're live on YouTube. We're live on all of our social media platforms. Unique code word and the contest winner to come as well. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. It's Tuesday night.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No
Yep,
way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Shortly before 10:30 in the evening, it's a Tuesday night. Hope you're all having a enjoyable Tuesday night, staying warm. It's not that warm out there, but it is, of course, always warm when we're all together here on the Illegal Curve post.
I don't know, Drew. My walls are pretty paper thin.
I know your walls are paper thin and your bed sheets are producing too much static electricity. You know, those are common mistakes that are just really difficult situations and troublesome things.
Method is nobody's going to forget about that. Like Method can delete the tweet, and I saw that he kind of doubled down and he said
no, he doubled down and then he deleted the tweet. I mean,
but then there's a tweet up right now that says that he loves this. He loved playing in Winnipeg, but the hotel was still. By the way, the Fairmont, what's the problem with the Fairmont? We've all gone to weddings there and had occasions there. There's nothing wrong with that hotel.
I stayed there. Not that long ago, and it was perfectly reasonable.
That's a nice hotel.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that not every single hotel is the Four Seasons, Mark.
Look, as I described it on Twitter, and I think it's a fairly apt description, he's a washed-up clout chaser. So he's going for low-hanging fruit.
For the record, Drew had to clarify and tell me in a comment that he wasn't talking about me as a washed-up clout chaser, that he meant Mark Method in our.
And he had to clarify that he wasn't talking about me because I'm a stout chaser.
Right. That's again. These are all the clarifications I had to give.
Guinness.
But I mean, it's low-hanging fruit from a guy who's trying to hang on to relevancy.
I believe not the same fruit as Ezzy bought at 7-Eleven once.
Probably not. But look, again, I lived in Ottawa, so I love Ottawa. It's a great city. I live in Winnipeg. Clearly, I think it's a pretty good city or a great city as well, because I live here and I raised my family here, and my wife moved here, and she's not from here, and she gets along pretty good here as well. So
Winnipeg, one good city.
Well, I mean, again, it's just such and I understand why. I understand the people who say, "Well, just ignore him." But I also understand the people who get passionate and get upset when somebody trashes your city. You should get upset when somebody trashes.
If he would have just kept it to the hotel, I don't really think anybody's going to care, to be honest.
Well,
with
the
you.
best part is the visiting team stay at the Delta now.
Yeah.
And the other best part is he said there's no close hotels. I work I work at the Sport Manitoba building, which is the Exchange District, so it's not that far from the Fairmont. And it's like, what are you talking about? First off, Highs is on the main level of the Richardson building, so it's like, what? I just didn't understand what and I'm pretty sure there's a restaurant in the Fairmont itself. So and there's and let's not forget about Salisbury House across the street. I mean, there's lots of good restaurants. You got the King's Head, you got Shawarma Con there. I mean, there's lots of good spots.
Yes, Ezzy has apparently eaten at all these restaurants, sometimes all in the same day. But that's
also a good hot dog cart right outside the Fairmont.
Sure. Again, none of it made any sense.
I said, if he would but if he would have just left it at the hotel, most people would have been like, "All right, fine, who cares? Like, I'm not here to defend a hotel."
Oh yeah, the free agency thing, Dave.
Yeah, it's just
the free agency thing was a dig.
It's just stupid. It's just like dumb. It's like and you know what I was gonna again. I was right there. I'm like about to tweet. I'm about to get involved, and I'm like, you know what? Who gives a shit, really? At the end of the day, because I was like, honestly, because you sit there and you're thinking, I know how many people do we know that are in our circle that like are highly successful, business, medical, whatever it is, have come back to the city in order to have good opportunities, good cost of living, raise their families. All people who have had choices to go and stay in other markets have come here. Then you've got the people, and they'll be mostly because they're born here, but they come back here, they choose to stay here. And then you've got
the people not seen the movie Shall We Dance? I mean, that's a cinematic masterpiece.
What about A Dog's Life? Also shot in Winnipeg. I think it was A Dog's Life. Anyways, so Lockport as well. Shout out to Skinners. But the point is, in addition to, if you just want to keep it from a hockey perspective, Blake Wheeler signed a 6-year contract and a 5-year contract. Josh Morrissey, an 8-year contract. Mark Scheifele, a 6-year contract. Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, 7-year contracts.
Connor Hellebuyck.
Connor Hellebuyck, 6-year contract. Neil Pionk, 4-year contract. These guys, none of them were from Winnipeg. None of them were like, Manitoba's my place. 2 Western Canadians, 2 guys from Michigan, 2 guys from Minnesota, a guy from Denmark. It's guys who are a guy from Ontario. So there's guys who have all chosen to be here. And the reality is, I'm not suggesting, it's not like it was back in the day where Dale Hawerchuk bought, a cottage in Gimli and guys made it their year-round home and really embraced, kind of like the Bombers, to be honest with you. The way the Bombers live is kind of the way the Jets 1.0 would have embraced living in the city. And guys don't do that to the same degree. Blake Wheeler actually has. Blake Wheeler's here
with the Bombers, look at a guy
coaching
like
against Drew in Summer League.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Blake Wheeler spending his summers coaching against me in 7-year-old girls soccer. That's some high intensity competition right there.
You know what? That's my
Drew,
point.
Your team dominated his team, right?
Exactly. And then Drew went up and took his little clipboard and said, Blake, hit the showers.
Who do you think you are?
It was me, Mitra, and Blake. We were all coaches. 2 of them were professional athletes, and then there was me.
So I ultimately, look, I didn't really think it was, you get that kind of initial, you want to defend Winnipeg because this is our city and we love it. And there's good parts of Winnipeg and there's bad parts. And guess what? I've been all around the world and every city that I've been to, I would say there's great parts of some of those cities. And I'd say there's some not so great parts of those cities. And I have to tell you guys, I spend a lot of time in downtown Winnipeg. Are there problems? 100%. Are there things that need to change? 100%.
Have you been to downtown San Francisco? Like Drew said, I mean, San Francisco. I'm not picking on San Francisco here. I'm just saying.
Sure, now Ezzy's going to be
all I can say is this.
No. I'm a big 49ers guy.
Don't leave a package in your car in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, San Francisco notoriously has there's parts of what is it, the Tenderloin district? That's where I stayed on my honeymoon. I didn't realize there was a lot of crime there, but San Francisco.
He thought there was good smoked meat there. That's why he stayed there.
Drew, San Francisco. Little funny story as a quick aside. It's the first time I've ever.
This is by the way, this is the story as he calls the San Francisco treat.
There was a few times in California. Like one guy was outside of a gas station. I think I've told this story before, and I went to hand him some change, and he said, "Sir, I'm not homeless. I'm just resting." And then when we were in San Francisco for our honeymoon, we're walking around. Naomi's, 3 months pregnant. I'm getting tired because I'm fat and out of shape. And we were holding on to our change because San Francisco is known to have a lot of homeless people, right? It's a problem in a lot of cities. San Francisco is a beautiful, hot city. And so we probably gave the guy $2 worth of change. Naomi was holding a takeout box, and the guy goes, "Thanks, but can I have your food too?"
He didn't know who he was dealing with. Ginsburg's not giving up his leftovers under any
Absolutely
circumstances.
not.
Yeah, there's 0% chance of that happening. Getting back to the Jets and the Senators tonight, this is courtesy of John Liu on Twitter. Jets head coach Rick Bowness said he heard from Connor Hellebuyck just before Bowness started his post-game press conference. Hellebuyck told Rick Bowness that he feels good and is ready to travel with the team to Boston on Wednesday. So there's an update on the Jets goaltender. We probably expect in that case to see Hellebuyck in net against the Bruins on Thursday.
Hellebuyck's going to shut out the Bruins, isn't he?
Well, I don't know about that, but in any event, that's possible. I don't know if you guys heard Pierre-Luc Dubois during the second intermission, the interview with
Apparently
John
he was
Liu.
very sick. I didn't hear it.
He was like, he sounded like hoarse, like nobody's business. Like whatever is going through that room is
He sounded like you after a night of karaoke, Drew.
That's true. A little bit scratchy. He sounded like a 3-pack a day smoker and who's been drinking some hard liquor all night long. Didn't sound healthy, but again, terrific performance by him and by the rest of the Jets, who are obviously working through whatever flu bug is going through the room.
They are going to take Arvid home, though, right? As well.
Well, I guess we'll find out about that.
No,
Maybe
they can't. They can't.
Well, they can't. They can take him on the plane. Then they can always send. They can always, put do a paper transaction.
But the problem is, remember, if the emergency is no longer relevant, meaning
was it an emergency call up though?
It was an emergency recall.
Okay. So
yeah.
In that sense, yes. So then that case,
he's going back. He's going back to Iowa.
Yeah, there you go. Is that where the Moose are? They're heading to Iowa
tomorrow night. They play
tomorrow night. Okay. Here's a comment.
Evan Cormier is going back to wherever.
Trois-Rivières.
He's like somewhere. They're sending him somewhere.
Well,
not quite
the
sure
Moose
where.
don't have an ECHL affiliate, so who was he playing for, Dave?
Trois-Rivières.
Trois-Rivières.
They send their
Three
players
rivers in
to
English.
a few different teams, right?
Yeah, they're either going to a lot of their guys go to the Newfoundland Growlers. They've got Trois-Rivières, and then actually no, you know what? Maybe not actually. Hold on. Oh no, it was Colin Billick who I think was recalled. No, Colin Billick was recalled from Trois-Rivières. I don't think I'm going to look it up. Drew, you keep talking. I think I'm wrong on.
Here's a quote from Rick Bowness about the Jets' first 20 minutes of the game. And this is courtesy of Scott Billick's column, which is now available on, of course, the Winnipeg Sun website. Quote, "The whole game for me, it's ridiculous how many..."
Kalamazoo, Dave.
I just got it. Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Thank you.
The K-Wings.
The whole game for me, again, this is Rick Bowness. It's ridiculous how many unnecessary shots we give up just because of our puck management. Listen, we love the 2 points. We needed the win. We got it. We got away with things tonight that we will not get away with on Thursday or Friday. We made the most of our opportunities. We got some big saves when we needed them. At times we played very smart, and at times we played very loose. I said this in training camp. We have a lot of work to do. Tonight shows me we still do. We love the 2 points. We needed the win. We got it. But let's be honest with how we played. That 5-1 is a whole lot different than the 5-1 in Vancouver, where we played an outstanding 60 minutes. Again, with everything that has been going on with the team, the injuries, the travel, we needed the win. We got it. I mean, we've talked about Rick Bowness. We've talked about his honesty. We've talked about how he's focused on the process as much as the result. And there's in that quote there is just another example of how he's reminding the players that, yes, you can be happy with the 2 points. You should be happy with the 2 points. But at the same time, the way you got those 2 points isn't how we need to do it to be successful on a long-term basis. And again, it just continues to be, it's nothing new. We've heard it from him a few times already this year, but it's still nice to hear it again and again and again, rather, as he stays consistent with his message.
Yeah, well, you're going against a mediocre. You're going from like I would call the Senators a mediocre team, slightly below average or average, whatever word you want to use, and then you're going to the best team record-wise in the league right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to, regardless of if the Jets beat the Senators, 2-1 or 6-1, that was going to be the case. But it was a weird game because we talked about it, right, Dave? Like the Jets were being badly outshot, but they were scoring they were up 2-0, right? And then kind of, in the second period, then you get the late goal on a delayed penalty after a big penalty kill, and then you score early and you go up 4-1, even though you weren't quote unquote, handling the Senators. So it was a weird game in that sense where you're up 3 goals. The game's essentially over, but the Senators have actually played pretty decently. So I understand. And it's refreshing. Like Rick Bowness is not a complacent guy, and he's seen everything, right? Like we've talked about, his coaching career, all the different situations he's been, all the success he's had. He's coached some bad teams as well. So he's seen everything, and he knows that, the Minnesota Wild are surging. And even though the Jets right now are comfortably at the top of the Central Division, or I shouldn't say comfortably, but they're at the top of I would say comfortably at the top of the division. I think he knows that, you've got Washington and Boston coming up. So he's sending a message to his team there, right? Like this, we talked about it, the Senators game, Drew mentioned this and I agreed with him on the last post-game show against the Kraken. Like this was the game where you got to win the Senators game. You don't want to be in a situation where, you have to win those 2 games back to back to go into the break feeling good about yourself. But for me, if the Jets are able to pick up, 2 or 3 points here, this is really successful. 2 games, because Washington's playing some really good hockey. Ovechkin wants to break Gordie Howe's record, and that the Bruins want to continue their strong play at home. Like they just, it's really absurd almost the way the Bruins are playing this year. They've been essentially flawless with the exception of those pesky Arizona Coyotes that defeated them. So yeah, not surprised that Bowness said that. But it's definitely different than what you would hear from Paul Maurice.
No question about it. Just another one of the examples, a litany of examples, the difference in the approach from both well-respected head coaches. Tough Duck contest, Mr. Ginsburg, who are we giving the prize to for the hardest hitting comment on this here post-game show?
We are going to give it to my spirit animal, Spencer Sutton, who just picked up a Jets jersey. Spencer, always hilarious, always making me laugh in the chat. You've got it up there. Love this because it's a shot at Mark Methot. Big Save Dave was swatting away pucks the same way GM swat Mark Methot's agent away when he comes looking for a contract. I mean, there was a lot of shade being thrown at Mark Methot in the chat, and we love it. I mean, the reality is, I'm not going to apologize at all because Mark Methot started this whole thing. Like Mark Methot could have just thought that in his own head, not said anything. And then like we talked about, he doubled down and then said that, 99.9% of players are on the Jets. The Jets are on 99.9% of players, no movement clauses, no trade clauses, which honestly might be the case. Yeah. But like, what's the point in throwing that in there? And by the way, I don't think Ottawa is high on places,
exactly.
Where teams
what other cities high on that list? Ottawa.
Well, the thing is, like, it's low hanging fruit here. Like Dave mentioned, I mean, the Jets are not a team that they've not built their team through free agency. I mean, you look at how they've built, this team, added to this team this year. It's been on the waiver wire, right? Like Axel Jonsson-Fjällby. It's bringing in guys like Sam Gagner and David Riddick and Kevin Stenlund and Saku Manalainen. And I think Chevy deserves credit for that. So the shot at the free agency thing is ridiculous. Like that's just low hanging fruit. That's like the same thing as saying like nobody wants to go to Buffalo. Well, thanks, Tips. Like everybody knows that. So anyway, Spencer Sutton, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com. Slide into my DMs, ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you directly.
Dave M., we have what's called the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Part of that Illegal Curve merchandise contest is a unique code word where if you enter that unique code word on our contest page, our contest webpage to be specific, you get bonus entries. You're asking, how do you find that contest webpage? Well, there's one of 2 ways. You go to the drop-down arrow here on the show description on this YouTube channel. You click the contest link. It'll take you right to the show page. You go to our website, illegalcurve.com. You click on basically any article there. You click on that. You click on the contest link. You'll see a whole boatload of things to do in order to gain entries into the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Dave M., you have not updated the code word on the site. You're also muted, so I don't know what you're saying.
Well, because I was letting Ezzy talk. I sent it to you. You were supposed to update it. Tisk, tisk, tisk.
I did not get that. Sorry, I did not understand that one. Give me 1 second. I will update it real quick right now.
Unbelievable, Ezzy. I sent it to Drew. I said, Drew, here's the word. Here's the winner. Please update. Little did I know.
Here is the unique code word. You say what the unique code word is for the people who are listening to the podcast. I'll update the merchandise contest winner.
5 stars. 5 stars. Come on. Nobody got it. I'm very happy about that. I figured some folks would think I would go based on the whole Mark Mathot thing. I thought that was kind of funny. So I went with 5 stars. That is the unique code word of the day. FIVESTARS, 5 stars. So that's your unique code word, and you enter that, and you get 10 extra entries to win Illegal Curve. Jets merchandise from Illegal Curve, or the grand prize, an NHL
a
game
5-star binder.
A 5-star binder, and
is it a Hilroy 5-star binder? If I'm not mistaken.
God, you guys are breaking the bank. I'm gonna have to go to Canadian Tire after this, but and you can win the grand prize of a NHL Jets game of your choice next month. If you win in December, and if you win in January, then you get an NHL game of your choice in February. So enter for that and win. So we will pick that person. Well, we'll announce this winner, and like we still got like 10 more games before December ends. So there's still plenty of time and opportunity to get your entries in and win Jets merch.
By the way, I see Ted. I see the $1 Million Man is in the chat, but I can't see Virgil.
I'm sure Virgil's available. Want to say a big congratulations to the winner, the latest winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest, Linda Trudeau. I'm not sure if there's any relation. Exactly. Not sure if there's any relation, but congratulations nonetheless to Linda Trudeau.
Linda's often in the chat. And if she's not in the and I can't remember if Linda's often in the chat, but I can tell you Linda is faithful on liking Illegal Curve's Facebook posts. So big kudos to Linda in her participation in that manner. Everybody else, hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
But
be like Linda, everybody. Be like Linda, generate entries, and you too may win the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Very important.
There you go.
So congratulations to Linda. We'll be in touch with her. If she's here and listening to us, you can acknowledge and wave. If she's not, we'll be in touch. Dave M will be to make sure you get.
I was going to make a wee charity joke there, Drew, but I just couldn't do it.
That's really going a little bit, that's going way back there. I'm not sure how many people would necessarily pick up on that one, but you can't get anything past your current events.
The mind of Ginsburg.
I was thinking of something to do with like, is Linda Trudeau a liberal? And then I was like, I don't even know why I mentioned that. I didn't have a joke, and then I had a joke.
It's probably for the best that we keep politics out of this show. We usually been pretty good about that. I mean, I did make some comments that somebody got upset with and was tagging me on Instagram as a result, but not important. Let's avoid that entirely, and instead we'll keep our focus.
Look,
we're all centrist here.
Everybody listen. Let's let everybody listen to Phyllis. That's the most important thing.
Just smash the like button.
Smash the like button, folks. I mean, come on. There's still almost 300 of you in the chat. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's everybody give us a little give IC a little love on this Tuesday night. That warms us up because it's certainly not warm outside. So throw down those likes, folks. We appreciate it. Helps us with the algorithm. And remember, comment on this video, not just in the chat, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I pay attention to more than I do to Ezzy and Drew, but comment on the video. And if you can, go on to the iTunes, throw a little, give people a little direction. Let people know what you think of the show. And then hopefully that will help attract the audience, and we'll keep building this thing. And boys, more importantly, actually, I mean, I don't want to say we got upstaged by Kenny and Randy, especially given the fact, first of all, I was a little upset our invites were lost in the mail. But Kenny and Randy did a whole viewing party, which for the record we've talked about this, something we were going to do. Now we kind of did something at the fishing show where we got a chance to meet a lot of people, but I mean, that should be some incentive for the Illegal Curve watch party. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Well, I'm not sure who you're saying it to. Are you saying it to us, or are you saying it to somebody else who's going to be encouraging us to do it? I'm confused as to where you're. I'm confused as to where you're going with this. I'll be perfectly honest.
I guess I was just.
Spencer said we could do the show anytime in his basement. So
that's down. Perfect. I mean, but the point is that
better than my basement.
I think yeah. Well, I was trying to do is I was trying to encourage you too, but I'm also trying to get the chat to get behind the idea so we can snowball it,
Well, there you go. That's right. Chatters, get in touch with local businesses that you know of, and get those local businesses to get in touch with us to do a show. And then we'll come to your local business and do a live on location show. We can do it for the Saturday show. We can do it for the post-game show. That's basically how it works. We want the chatters, the good folks in the chat, to get in touch with businesses, to get in touch with us to do the show, because we're really
Let's
not
do the
that
show at the
interested in doing
Fairmont.
the work on our own.
That's
We
actually
don't
funny.
wanna do the work
That's
on
Put
our
it
funny.
at
own.
the Fairmont.
That's funny, Ezzy.
We'll ask Mark Method to come on the show.
We're live on location at the Fairmont in downtown Winnipeg.
Mark,
Our
how are
next
ya?
guest, Mark Method. Mark, nice to see you again. How are things? Anyways, that would be very amusing, Ezzy. We'll get in touch with.
We could do it in a king size bed, just to see if those sheets really do zap you.
That's that'd be the three of us lying in a king size bed broadcasting the show. What could possibly go wrong?
Let me tell you.
Let
me tell you, a king size bed isn't big enough to keep you away from the snores of Ginsburg. Like, I don't care if I could be in another room on the same floor, and it ain't enough to keep you away from the snores of Ginsburg. I got the tape, folks. Trust me.
The Ginsburg Chainsaw Massacre.
Maybe the last time Mark was stayed at the Fairmont, Ginsburg was in the room next to his, and that the thin walls was just it was Ginsburg snoring.
There you go.
It's entirely possible that
I have severe sleep apnea.
We know you have sleep apnea. We're all
Everybody's
very
aware.
very familiar
Everybody's
with
aware.
your sleep apnea, unfortunately. But thankfully, you're
All right.
finally getting that dealt with. Next show Thursday. Got two more before the official start of Christmas. Thursday, I think it's about it's a 6:00 puck drop on Thursday, which means post game will be right around 8:30, 8:45, and then it'll be the same thing again on Friday. So of course, be sure to set your reminders and not to miss us, because we're going to be gone for a few days after that. You're not going to have us on Saturday. No Illegal Curve Hockey Show this coming Saturday morning, and then of course that means you're not going to have us Saturday, and that means you're not going to have us on Sunday, and you're not going to have us on Monday. So you're going to have 3 full days without us, which means you better get your fill of us on Thursday and Friday.
I might just do a show by myself on Saturday.
Nothing would surprise me. I would not be surprised about that whatsoever. But if you choose to do
Let's
that,
snowball that. Hey, everybody in the chat, let's snowball that. Do you want me
It
to
was
do a
the night
solo
before
show?
Christmas, and Dave M had a hankering for some moose talk.
Hey, maybe I'll do a little moose Q&A on Saturday morning from 10 to 11.
You do that. You set it up. Whatever you want, Dave M. You have the power to do as you please.
Oh, yeah.
Before we wrap,
I got some
up,
things
of course, on
germinating,
this,
some thoughts happening.
Oh boy, there you go. When that brain of Dave M starts firing, everybody better watch out. As everybody knows, we have to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Frosty, get it up on the screen, buddy. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. As Frosty says, Michael Palaschak is at Rumors. His first show was tonight. He'll be there all the way through Saturday. And then next week, Kevin Bozeman in town at Rumors. Celebrate the new year. Ring in New Year's Eve, 2 shows at Rumors. Tickets available right now, rumorscomedyclub.com. Get them before they are sold out. We'll be back Thursday night, as we said. Want to say a big thank you to all of the chatters who joined us. As always, it was an entertaining time to spend a little more than an hour and almost 15 minutes with all y'all. And we always appreciate that. Tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. And again, on Saturday morning is the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms. Leave us some comments. We always appreciate the feedback here on YouTube. And again, on the iTunes page, Dave Manuke's in the top right, Ezra Ginsburg in the bottom middle. Until Thursday night, right around 8:45, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We say good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve postgame show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.